why Fredericksburg at all, or kind of even in the first place. Now here's a crazy kind of thing that you might never hear, you probably never heard a ranger ask you to do, and you might never hear a ranger ask you to do again. I want you to take your phones out. Seriously, I want you to take your phones out. I want you to open your map, the map app in your phone. I want you to look at Virginia. I want you to zoom out until you can only see just the major highways. And I want someone to tell me how many major north-south routes there are in Virginia. Seriously, I want someone to tell me how many major north-south routes they see in Virginia. Two? Three? How many do you, now include West Virginia. Include West Virginia in that. Now how many do you see? Two, three, right? That's not a lot, right? It was the same thing back then. If you're trying to move a 120,000 man army, there are only so many places you can do it. Now, if you count the Chesapeake Bay, you've got like 4, right? You've got the Chesapeake Bay, you've got the Telegraph Road, basically modern day I-95, you've got the Front Range of the Appalachian Mountains, and you've got the Shenandoah Valley. Those are your 4 options, right? McClellan had just tried the Chesapeake, coming down the Chesapeake and up the Virginia Peninsula. That hadn't gone so well. The Shenandoah Valley actually doesn't help the U.S. Army very much, because past a certain point you're actually getting farther away from Richmond. Kind of the same problem you have if you go down along the front range of the Appalachians. You end up getting farther away from Richmond. In both of those cases, you actually end up uncovering Washington. So, if you're the U.S. Army and you're trying to move on Richmond and protect Washington at the same time, this is the most sensible area of the country to move through. And if you're trying to do that quickly, this is the most sensible city, one of the most sensible cities to move through on your way. You've got one of the best roads in the area to march your army on. You've got a railroad you can use to keep it supplied as you move. And in the lead up to the campaign, Fredericksburg is, for all intents and purposes, is completely undefended. There are functionally no Confederates here, and when Burnside arrives, that remains true. Had the bridges that Burnside needed to get across the river arrived on time, he would have been 2/3 the way to Richmond before Lee even really knew what was going on. And Lee knew that. When Lee finds out Burnside had arrived here, he wasn't planning to defend Fredericksburg. His original plan was to fight a battle dozens of miles to the south at North Anna River. It's only under political pressure from Confederate politicians in Richmond, particularly Jefferson Davis, combined with the realization that Burnside's campaign has stalled here, that Lee moves up to Fredericksburg. Because Burnside doesn't have these. The pontoon bridges he needed so badly.